each year in America, medical doctors kill, injure, and infect 15 million Americans in their workplace. This is straight from the Center for Disease Control, February 5th, 2007. Each year in America, medical doctors kill, injure, and infect 15 million Americans, 5.8 million in hospitals, 9.2 million in private offices and clinics. They get a walk. Nobody loses their license. Nobody gets a suspension of their license for 3 seconds. Nobody gets a parking ticket. Nobody gets an OSHA ticket. What other, can cab drivers do that? Would you fly commercial airlines if you knew that they killed, injured, and infected 15 million passengers every year? Nobody would fly! But everybody wants to go to their doctor, leave a trail of information, give them a chance to put a chip in you, just what everybody's favorite thing is, right? Then, each month in America, according to the Center for Disease Control again, medical doctors kill 15,000 Medicare patients in hospitals in the workplace. Each month. That's 180,000 a year. How many would fly commercial airline if you knew they killed 180,000 passengers every year? November 2010, Center for Disease Control again. They infect 2 million Americans every year in the workplace and hospitals, of which 90,000 die. What if Iran were to send over one of their intercontinental ballistic missiles with a biological weapon, which is what I did in the Air Force for 20 years, deal with biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons, and they killed 90,000 people with this biological weapon. Would we send over chocolate to win the hearts and minds of their little kids? No, we'd declare war on them. We would raise a mighty army. We'd go over there and turn them into dust, preferably radioactive dust. Okay? Now, here we have one trade in America who infects 2 million of their customers in their workplace every year. They kill 90,000 of them, and they get a walk. I don't know how many remember 5 years ago, I think one person died from an E. coli infection in a Jack-in-the-Box. Oh my God! Oh my God! We got to get rid of all the fast food places because one person died, probably his own E. coli, from Jack-in-the-Box. Everybody was not going to eat meat anymore. It was like the end of the earth was coming because one person dies from E. coli. And you have one trade in the workplace that killed 90,000 every year, and everybody's lined up to go get free services. Are Americans crazy? I think so. It's amazing. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, there's one other statistic. This is my favorite. Then we'll get into the business of saving yourself. Well, part of it is avoiding the bad guys, right? You saw a great lecture just before me. You want to avoid the bad guys if you can, which means you have to take a lot of responsibility. So, what about pharmaceuticals? Oh, there's another one of my favorites. What you think about it? Each year, this is a yearly figure, 1.5 million Americans are killed and permanently injured from pharmaceuticals where it's not the side effects of the drug, it is decimal point problems between the guy who wrote the prescription and the pharmacist who's fulfilling the prescription. 1.5 million Americans die every year from this decimal point problem. Nobody goes to jail. Medical doctors kill more people every year than the mafia has in 1,000 years. Medical doctors kill more people each year than the mafia has in 1,000 years. The drug war is in the wrong place. Gangbangers kill what? 10,000 people a year from drugs? Medical doctors kill and permanently injure 1.5 million every year. We're going after the wrong people. The drug war is in the wrong place. It's in the hospitals, not in the streets. Okay, the streets are our domain, right? That's where we take care of our families and our kids. So, what do? We have to know how to take care of ourselves. We have a trilogy of books we call Let's Play Doctor, Let's Pay Herbal Doctor, Let's Pay Passport Aromatherapy. And myself, personally, I'm pushing 74 years old. I haven't been to a doctor in 65 years. I've never taken a prescription medication. The only thing in my health record is 74 years old is one piece of paper. It's my birth certificate. And nobody's going to steal an airplane with me on it. With a box cutter. You got to be kidding me? 9/11 happened because 10 guys had box cutters? Well, our responsibility is to give our bodies everything it needs to fend off biological weapons. We can do that. Also, how many of you have heard arthritis? Raise your hand. Arthritis is not an autoimmune disease. Arthritis is not a genetic disease. It's a simple mineral deficiency. Remember, I'm a veterinarian as well as a physician. In veterinary medicine, you don't have Blue Cross Blue Shield for your animals, whether it's a pet or a livestock. You don't have health insurance. So we just learned how to get rid of all the diseases. And remember, in the human health industry, you have insurance. It's the worst possible thing that could have happened for human health. Insurance is the worst possible thing that can happen. Because, remember, doctors have legislated themselves into a protected monopoly. There is no federal or state law or even professional ethical canon which requires them to cure you when there's a cure available. So they don't. You can cure arthritis in 90 days. You can cure rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks. It's an infection. You can cure rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks, but they treat you for 25 years. You know how much money a doctor makes if he cures you with rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks? $300 in office calls. You know how much he makes when he treats you for rheumatoid arthritis for 25 years? And all the spin-offs, all the complications of the drugs you get, so forth? $750,000. So let me ponder for a moment here. I have to scratch my head and decide which one I want. $300 or $750,000 per patient. I'm going with the $750,000. There's no law against it. Now, if you know yourself how to take care of it, if everybody in America were like me, haven't been to a doctor in 65 years, never taken a prescription medication ever, the medical system would be real humble, wouldn't they? They would be damn humble. I mean, they'd be like the Maytag repairmen. There ain't nobody calling them if you're not sick for 65 years. Well, that's our responsibility. And that's what I'm going to train you to do. How many of you need oxygen? Raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, you're dead. Everybody in this room needs oxygen. Within 4 minutes, if you don't have oxygen, you're dead. How many of you need water? Raise your hand, okay? Under ideal circumstances, you could go 2-3 weeks maybe without water. And that's eating food that has some water in it, that kind of stuff. You're going to be in real trouble without water, particularly in a hostile, hot environment. How many of you need the 90 essential nutrients? Raise your hand. Okay, very good, half of you. Well, that's the half that's going to survive. Okay? All vertebrates, whether you're a hummingbird, a rabbit, a rat, a dog, a cat, a human being, a chicken, a turkey, a turtle, fish, elephants, chimpanzees, and gorillas, every critter you can think of, wolves and elk, every vertebrate needs all 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids, and you can't get them from your food anymore. You cannot get them from your food anymore. Well, I eat well. What does that mean? Well, I had 2 eggs for breakfast and toast and some hash browns and a glass of orange juice. Well, how many nutrients did you have in it? You don't know. I mean, think about it. We've tripled the lifespan of dogs in the last 60 years with dog food. We spent $100 billion perfecting dog food. $100 billion. Just so when you get your next dog, you buy that brand of dog food. 100 billion with a B. 60 years ago, an old dog was 8 years old. Today, an old dog is 25. We've eliminated 900 different diseases in dogs that still plague people, including every birth defect you can name and 10 times that many you can't. If everybody were to take all 90 essential nutrients, we'd never have another birth defect. There's not one single birth defect that's genetic. Every one of them, we've eliminated in animals by giving the females for at least months or years, depending on how long they live, prior to their first conception. We've eliminated every birth defect you can name. Down syndrome occurs 1 out of 700 births in America. 1 out of 700 births is a Down syndrome baby. It's a simple zinc deficiency in the first few moments of conception. Now, Sarah Palin's OBGYN should go to jail forever. We're talking about the governor of a state, a candidate for vice president of the United States, and he allows her to be so deficient she has a baby with Down syndrome. That doctor needs to go to jail. When he dies, his body should be fed to a rabid dog. That's the worst possible punishment I can think of. Okay, so over the years, again, using veterinary thinking by body weight to eliminate all our diseases, we've come up with what we call the Healthy Start Pack. This has actually 245 nutrients, including all 90 essential nutrients, has 115 juices in it, 115 different vegetable and fruit juices and berry juices. 115. How many of you heard of V8? This is V115. But it's frozen, it's freeze-dried. You add water to it and it instantizes. You're getting all those juices at the same time. We're talking about, I do this twice a day. And of course, this is a month's supply for 100 pounds of body weight. So I weigh 162. I've been taking, not this as it's packaged, but I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients twice a day for 65 years. I started when I was 9 years old. I had what today would be called Tourette syndrome. Tourette syndrome. You know, I had facial tics and was kind of hyper kind of thing. And so my mom took me to an eye doctor. Well, I started out when I was 4. It just got progressively worse. She took me to this eye doctor. I don't know why an eye doctor, because I guess I was blinking a lot. And she took me to this eye doctor, and the eye doctor said, well, I can't find anything wrong with him. The only thing I can think of, I had glasses back then, and she says, it was a woman doctor, says, well, the only thing I can find is he has long eyelashes. It's hitting his glasses, curling back and tickling his eyeballs. That's what's making him, you know, have facial tic. And I was only 9 years old, and I'm not that stupid. And so I said, well, what do you want me to do about it? So she gives me an eyelash brush, a Maybelline eyelash brush. She wants you to do this 4 times a day to retrain your eyelashes. I said, ma'am, I'm playing sports here with big guys that weigh 200 pounds. I only weighed 80 pounds back then. And I think they're going to rip my arm off and beat me to death with it if I'm using a Maybelline eyelash brush sitting on the bench there with them. I ain't going to do that. The next day at school, I go to the library, I get a nurse's health book, and I look up, like, facial tics. Didn't see that, but I did find cramps. Okay, it said calcium. Well, I'm feeding calves these pellets. So on the analysis tag on the pellets, it says got calcium in it. So I go home after school, I start eating calf pellets. Threw the Cheerios out to the chickens the next morning and put milk in there with my calf pellets. 3 days' time, my facial tic, my Tourette syndrome had been getting worse for 5 years, went away in 3 days. So I began mixing dog food, calf pellets, chicken food together, and I made my own supplements back when I was 9 years old. I figured it out when I was 9. Took it twice a day for 65 years. And I've been blessed with being disease-free for 65 years. Again, if everybody were to do this, the medical system would be real humble. Well, we have 3 products in here, and you take 1 full dose of each of these 3 products. Again, it goes by body weight. This one has 245 nutrients in it, including the 115 super juices. Has all 90 essential nutrients. Protects you from over 900 different diseases. This one is liquid. It has 77 certified organic plant minerals in it that comes from an ancient compost that was under the sea for thousands of years. It's certified organic every year for 35 years. And the fish oils here prevents thrombosis, prevents thrombotic stroke, coronary thrombosis, and pulmonary embolism, and deep vein thrombosis. And this is a basic program that everybody needs. And this is essentially what I've been taking for 65 years. We have a secret sauce for all 900 different diseases. Let's say you come to me, you have high blood pressure, we'd have what we call Ultimate Daily to it. It'll support blood flowing through blocked arteries and also supports healthy blood pressure. If you have diabetes, we have what we call Sweeties to it. This has the secret sauce in it to support healthy metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and sugars at the cellular level, and also supports and promotes healthy blood sugar levels. If you have arthritis, you take the glucogel, which has glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, and collagen all in one source. You try and buy all of those at a GNC or Walgreens, it's going to cost you $90 or more. This is like 30-something, 34, 35, whatever it is. Okay? Now, people who have 16 diseases, and our people have 16 diseases, you're going to find that they might have gluten intolerance. How many of you heard of gluten intolerance? Okay, you're talking about people that have asthma, constipation, they've got skin problems, eczema, dermatitis, rosacea, and these are sort of people who are sick all the time. They're going to doctors all the time. They got 18 diseases, seeing 3 specialists. Irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, all that stuff. All you got to do is get on a gluten-free diet, take these 90 essential nutrients, and usually within 60, 90 days, it's all gone. Because when you have a gluten intolerance, you cannot absorb nutrients because your intestines are all damaged. instead of having all these finger-like villi sticking down in there to increase your absorptive surface, becomes just a tube, just a hose. And so you lose 85% of your absorptive surface. And the doctor loves gluten intolerance. Okay? The Mayo Clinic in 2009 says 30% of Americans, 115 million Americans are gluten intolerant. 115 million Americans are gluten intolerant. Those medical doctors love them. They go in there for everything. Doctors love them. And then the Amish and the Mormons and the Seventh-day Adventists, and 80% of them are gluten intolerant because they live on grains. The Chinese, none of them are gluten intolerant because you go to China, they live on rice and sweet potatoes. There's no gluten in rice and sweet potatoes. They come here, they start eating wheat 3 times a day. Guess what? They get gluten intolerance. And so if you have a gluten problem, oh, what do I eat? Oh, my life is over because I can't eat multigrain bread. Every store, because it's such a huge market now, every store has a gluten-free aisle in it. They sell more, they make more money off the gluten-free aisle than any of all their other foods. So it's not like life is over because you have to eat gluten-free. In fact, life will begin because you're going to feel good for the first time in your life. Well, what I want you to do is understand if you do these things, and again, you've heard it many times, what you want to do is slowly, as you buy these things, you get on auto ship, and you'll save every 8% every month. It'll just be delivered to you every month. You can change it, you can add to it, take away from it. More of your family gets on it. And what we're here for is 2 things. Number 1, to educate you. You know, we're here, I don't think you had an admission fee to come in here. It's free to get in here. We're giving you life-saving information for free, costs you nothing. We'll train you for nothing. But what we're looking for is for people in this region to help us. I will pay you an obscene amount of money. I'm going to tell you again, I will pay you an obscene amount of money. Do you have brandy for me? I'll pay you an obscene amount of money to be a student of this system. Okay? And the more people you help, the bigger your check gets. We have car bonuses. We're a publicly traded company. I will give you stock options. You can be an owner in the company. I will train you for nothing. And I'm looking for people here to help us out. And again, we'll pay you an obscene amount of money. Come on up here, Brandy girl. Now, the only disease we can claim number 1 in America, the only disease we can claim as number 1 in America is that we are the most obese nation in the world. We're number 1 obesity. We're number 1! Do you understand? We spend more money for health care than all the nations of the world combined. And the only thing we can brag about we're number 1 on is we're the most obese nation in the world. What does that tell you about what the medical system knows and the government knows about obesity? We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're ignorant. Because if they know, they're using you for an ATM machine, aren't they? Now, I'm going to teach you something here. We have people in 100 days lose 140 pounds. In 90 days, they lose 100 pounds. In 2 months' time, they'll lose 50, 60 pounds. This never fails. And as long as you do this, you'll never gain the weight back. You will never gain the weight back, and here's why. Being overweight and obese is not a disease of excess or lack of exercise. The more you exercise when you're overweight, the fatter you're going to get. It's a nutritional deficiency disease. You take the nutrients, bam, it goes away. Yeah, well, that's my job. Okay, now Brandy, tell your weight story. And tell your kids' weight story.
Okay, yes, sir.
And tell them the gluten intolerant story.
Okay, yes, sir. I can do that. Okay, well, about 10 years ago, my son had been having asthma for 7 years, and I'd been on 5 different prescriptions, and they wanted to add 1 more, and I decided we weren't doing that. And at the time, I was drinking a 2-liter of Pepsi Cola a day, and I weighed about 157 pounds, and only being 5'2", I was pretty round. And so we got with a lady who shared some products with me to help my son have a bowel movement. And because the doctor wanted to add Miralax to help him, I thought, well, you know, he's only 7 and he's up to 5. If we add 1 more, that's going to be 6 prescriptions. That's a lot of medicine for a 7-year-old. So what we did was we got the girlfriend. She gave us some Cleanse FX, which was a Dr. Wallach's product. Within just about 2 or 3 weeks, my son was cleaner than he had ever been in his colon. And so when I went back to the doctor said, "My goodness, boy, where's all your dookie gone?" And my son sits right up on the table and says, "Well, I don't know, but my mama's gone vitamin and mineral crazy." Well, at that particular time, I decided I was going to wean my son off of asthma medication, and I did that. The doctor did not like me very much, but I said, "You know, you got children and I have them, and the wonderful thing about having your own is you can parent them the way you see fit." And I thought it'd be best to get off all those prescriptions, and we did. I also let go of the 2-liter bottle of Pepsi Cola and got on a product that we had called Rebound. I lost down to about 137 pounds in about 4 weeks. Very pleased with that product. Stayed at about 140 for about 7 years. In last January, I kept hearing these ladies talk about this new product on the call. They were saying, "ASAP, I've lost a pound a day or a pound and a half a day." I said, "There's no way you're losing that much weight. I'm going to try it." So I got on that product, and within about 4 weeks, I lost down to 108 pounds. And it was absolutely the most effortless program I have ever done. I love fruits and vegetables, and I love meat, and basically that's what the program looks like. You eat a portion of meat, a portion of fruits and vegetables, you put the 15 drops under your tongue 3 times a day, and it is incredible how the weight will fall off. Also, my daughter weighed, she's 17 years old, now she's 18, she weighed 185 pounds, and God forgive me for telling that story, but now she's down to about 140, and she is excited. She's a little taller than I am, so she carries it well. She wears about a size 7, and she looks amazing. Also, she had suffered with acne, severe acne. Been to many doctors, had salves and potions and motions and lotions that were $75, $125 just to rub on the face. They never done anything. So two Novembers ago, I took my baby girl to see Dr. Wallach, and when we did, he looked at the little places on her cheeks, and she had kind of rosy cheeks, and he says, "My goodness," he says, "Brandy, did you know that your daughter had a gluten intolerance?" And I said, "No, sir." And he says, "Well, if she has one, so do you." And I says, "Well, now that you mention that, when I was 21 years old, I was hospitalized with diverticulitis. I had the intestines of someone that was 70. They didn't tell me to quit eating gluten. They told me not to eat salads and nuts, which really was just the opposite of what I needed to be doing. So for 27 more years, I continued to eat gluten and continued to harm each one of my pregnancies. My first daughter was born with reflux, my son was born with asthma, and my baby girl was born with the worst case of colic you have ever seen." Well, about that, when November came 2 years ago, Dr. Wallach says, "You really need to get on that gluten-free diet." So from November to January, I tried it myself. Really felt great. My skin improved on the backs of my arms. I had like little sandpaper places. All that went away. I told my 10-year-old daughter, I says, "We're going to try this thing and see what happens." So her and I did it for about the first 6 or 7 months. My teenage daughter, who's seen the acne and seen the places on my daughter's face clear up, the little girl clear all up, seen Keely lose a few pounds, and she said, "You know what? I think I'm going to give that gluten thing a try." Her face is amazingly beautiful now. She has not hardly any acne, only around her cycle, and we are so excited to be gluten-free. Praise God. And Dr. Wallach. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
One more thing, Randy. You just recently saved your house from foreclosure, didn't you?
Yes.
Now, how many people do you have in your organization, in your marketing group, and tell them how you saved your house?
Okay. Well, I also used to clean houses, and I did that for about 8 or 9 years. And in 2008, I lost 2 of my clients. 2009, I lost 2. 2010, I lost 2. Well, by 2011, I went from $800 a week, working 19 hours, down to $175 every 2 weeks. Well, then my husband, last January, not this past, but last January, they told him for him to continue to work the same job he had worked for 17 years, he was going to need to take an $800 a month pay cut. And he did. And we had never been late on one house payment in 17 years. Well, one day being late turned into 2 or 3 weeks being late. We'd catch it up, then we'd fall back, catch it up, fall back. What? They just cut me off. Oh, no. Okay. So anyway, then what happened was I seen Dr. Wallach in November 2 years ago, and Doc said, I told him, I says, "We're going down quick, Doc." He says, "Well, what does that mean?" I says, "We're about to go into foreclosure on my house." And he says, "Well, girlfriend, you better get me on the schedule." I said, "Okay." So that's what I did. Got with home office, scheduled Dr. Wallach to do a few meetings for me. I've been traveling with him ever since. I travel with him about 8 or 10 days out of the month. And last June, my house was in full-blown foreclosure. And with a combination of my husband's efforts and what little bit of paycheck that he was still getting, and the wonderful paychecks that Longevity paid me, I was able to pull our house out of foreclosure, and very proud to have done that. In my marketing group, I have over 1,000, and I have people in Canada, in California, and New York. I have people in Florida, and you know, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know any of these people in any of these places. I was mainly working in my backyard, and as I would sign up people and do little events like this and expos, it's just about not only who you know, but it's who you know that knows someone else. And it's just amazing how fast this thing will grow. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Miss Randy.